Hey, what's up, guys? Beverly Hills Chihuahua, Cats vs. Dogs, Air Bud 1, Air Bud 2, there's a lot of Air Buds. The live-action Scooby-Doo, Air Buddies.
Hi, Mrs. Niggles.
G-Force. Okay, they're guinea pigs in that one, but I just wanted to mention them. My point is, talking dog movies were absolutely everywhere in like the early to mid 2000s, but like why? What was so intriguing about them, so new, so profitable that made executives just start greenlighting these suckers for so long? And I think the more important question, why did they just disappear? Now, like all good video essays start, we're starting from the beginning. The origins of the talking dog movie are surprisingly debated. Some people say it was Speaking of Animals from 1941. Others say it was the original Shaggy Dog in 1959. Out of my way! But I personally think the answer is actually Chevy Chase in Oh Heavenly Dog. Now, the reason I say this is because Chevy Chase as Benjamin Brown was like cavemen discovering fire. For whatever reason, after this movie came out, every studio in Hollywood was like, holy shit. We gotta get more dogs, man. From 1997 to 2010, there were, as far as I can find, 28 talking dog movies. But before we start delving into what really went wrong, there are a few different types of talking dog movies, so I wanted to establish the distinctions really quick. First, there's your original Air Bud Beethoven style, right? Where the dog doesn't actually talk, he's just really cool. Then you've got movies more like The Shaggy Dog. Oh my god. These kinds of movies, you can hear the dog speak either telepathically or like it's speaking, but the mouth doesn't actually move, right? And then there's the movies that, despite every logical reasoning saying don't fucking do this, they decide to animate the mouths.
I'm gonna cry.
You know, I feel like you can draw a lot of similarities between the evolution of the talking dog movies and the story of Icarus. You know, they just had so much hope and such a great initial idea. I mean, what do kids like? Dogs. What else do kids like? Basketball. You mash those two together and you've got a money printing machine that'll last forever, right? But then, suddenly, somewhere in the deep, dark trenches of a Hollywood writer's room, some executive waltzed in, looked at that sweet, sweet, innocent little Chihuahua and said, put George Lopez in there. 1997. This was the start of Air Bud and the beginning of the dogs doing cool shit art. I mean, dogs playing basketball? That's just really cool. Now, I do want a quick caveat that Air Bud doesn't actually talk until Air Buddies, the sequel movies later, but that actually really helps prove my point, so don't worry about that, we'll get to it. But more importantly, this movie sets the tone for the entire genre, really. I mean, Buddy the dog doesn't have any crazy powers, he can't fly, and he isn't voiced by George Lopez. It's just a cool-ass dog balling on these kids. Can you imagine having to go home to your parents and telling them that you lost a basketball game to a dog? I'd kick you out of my house. I rewatched the original for this video, and I kind of forgot how weird the intro was. Does anybody remember this clown dude?
Hi, Clown and the Hound.
I think I'm good, man. I don't want to hire this guy. Now, the whole movie of Air Bud is about this kid, Josh, right? He's a super sad, shy kid who moved to a new city because his dad fucking died.
His dad passed away last year.
But it all changes when he meets his new best friend, Buddy, who's a golden retriever and also LeBron himself on the court. You know, I feel like the whole premise of Air Bud was pitched in about 12 seconds. You know, it was just a boardroom. All right, I hear you have a movie pitch for us? Ooh, that was cringe. All right, so I heard you have a movie pitch for us? A dog that plays basketball. It's genius. Oh my God. Wow. I just feel like it's such a no-brainer idea for a kid's movie. I mean, what if your best friend also did the things you like? Of course it's gonna sell, which is exactly why I think the early era of these movies are remembered so fondly. You ask any kid around my age, hey, do you remember Air Bud? They'll go, yeah, I remember Air Bud. That shit was awesome. I think this goes to show that the early talking dog era wasn't really about talking dogs at all, which I know sounds really stupid considering that this video is called Talking Dog Movies, but just hear me out real quick. Sure, some of them did talk. I mean, you've got Snow Dogs where they talk in that dream sequence, and they did in Cats and Dogs. Beautiful movie, by the way. But the talking always felt secondary to the actual fantasy. I mean, think about it. You're 8 years old, and sure, the dog being able to speak is kind of cool. But is that really cooler than him dropping prime Jordan numbers on a bunch of middle schoolers? These movies didn't need the dog to have a human-like personality or a random sitcom voice actor to voice it. They just needed him to be cool as shit, you know? And I feel like the same formula is followed pretty well for all the movies in this era. I mean, like Paws, you know, the dog and the boy are co-stars, and it's their bond and their friendship that really drives the movie, right? right? Same with You Lucky Dog. Sure, the dog is smart and a little bit Scottish, but it never deviates from the original beat of the story being about the boy and his best friend. And I think the way they were able to keep this feeling real is that the dog was still fundamentally a dog. He chased balls, he got distracted, he was just like a really, really cool version of a dog. Like Dookie from Johnny Test. And the formula worked, right? I mean, if you look at the movies, they all performed the best in this era. After this, everything goes downhill. Because what kid doesn't want to see their favorite golden retriever buddy slam a three-pointer last second to close out the game? That actually happens. That's the ending of the first movie. It's a win-win for everybody. Everybody's happy, right? But it wasn't enough. It's never enough. We had to keep going. We had to animate the mouse. After the success of these movies started to die down, Hollywood realized that they had to evolve, right? It wasn't working anymore. They needed something more. Kids were growing bored of dogs playing sports, and there weren't really too many sports left. You know, nobody wants to see a Dalmatian playing wiffle ball. So they decided the next best thing to do was to keep going with the human-like qualities with their dogs. You know, little personality here, little dialogue there, get Gary Busey to put on a collar, you get the idea. I feel like this is unironically a really good example of Hollywood taking all the wrong lessons from a movie being successful. I mean, you hear it all the time, but I feel like this is just another great example. Instead of seeing the success of Air Bud and going, oh, I guess kids really like a feel-good story of bonding with their friends and the fun side aspect of this dog bawling like crazy, they just looked at the movie and went, do you think we could get a middle-aged, washed-up comedian to voice one of these dogs? Phase 2 is defined with movies like The Shaggy Dog, right? I feel like The Shaggy Dog is just a great example of how these movies started to shift their focus away from a kid and his cool-ass dog bonding to just, hey look, this dog's talking, and he kind of sounds like that guy from Santa Claus.
Hey, it's Shaggy!
Now, I do think Shaggy Dog has an important clarification. This story has technically been around since like the 20s with a 1959 movie, but the 2006 version with Tim Allen changes pretty much every single aspect of the movie to the point where they are only similar in their name and everything else is completely different. So I'm counting it as a different movie. Fuck you, this is my video. The 2006 Shaggy Dog movie follows Tim Allen as this asshole lawyer dude named Dave Douglas. You know, he hates his family. He's just really disconnected, all around terrible dude, right? Until he gets bit by the ancient 300-year-old dog that turns you into dogs as well. What? Is that actually what happens? Wow, okay, yeah, that is actually what happens. Basically, Tim Allen gets bit by this ancient dog, gets turned into a dog, and now he needs to figure out a way back into his human form, but the dog form teaches him things about family and love, I guess.
I'm actually nude right now.
Also, he gets this crazy-ass tongue thing. Kind of freaky. But what surprised me most on a rewatch of this movie is how little he is actually the dog in the movie. You'd expect a movie called The Shaggy Dog with a dog on the cover would be mostly dog stuff, right? But 90% of this movie is just Tim Allen walking around like sniffing people's asses and chasing squirrels. He's a dog for like 10 minutes of the movie. But that's besides the point. This movie to me is the beginning of the end. Yes, sure, it has aspects of family. You know, Tim Allen is learning more about his family and what he's been missing out on by ignoring them all these years. But the dog isn't really the fantasy anymore. You know, you could replace the dog with literally anything else and it would still work. Kids aren't watching this movie because, holy shit, that dog can play basketball. Now kids are watching it because I don't really know. I don't know why I ever watched it. I mean, no little kid is sitting there going, holy shit, Tim Allen's in this movie? I loved his performance in Big Trouble. And this isn't even shitting on Tim Allen because I loved the Santa Claus movies, but I did not watch those movies for him. I watched them because, whoa, Santa Claus movie, it's Christmas, that's awesome.
You look pretty good for your age.
Thanks, but I'm seeing someone in wrapping.
It feels less like a cool dog movie and more like an excuse to cast Tim Allen again because people really liked Christmas with the Cranks. I mean, when you watch the trailer for this movie, you don't go, oh, that's a fun movie about a dog. You just go, Tim, I don't think you can bite that woman. I just feel like this is where it ultimately starts to lose the plot. The dog stops being the focus and it starts focusing on just inserting any celebrity that they would have used for a straight-to-DVD shitty comedy movie and just turning him into a dog in the hopes that it'll sell a little better. And that brings me to phase 3. So remember like 10 minutes ago when I mentioned Air Bud didn't talk until the Air Buddies movies? Air Bud doesn't actually talk until Air Buddies, the sequel movies later. Well, boy, do they talk in that movie.
I'm gonna pounce on that butt if you don't move it.
So Air Buddies is a spin-off, like escalation series of the original Air Bud movies, right? Basically, Buddy has 5 kids. He's got Butterball, Mudbud, Buddha, Rosebud, and B-Dog.
B-Dog is all about the bling bling.
B-Dog's all about the bling. And these 5 dogs, you know, they all get into trouble, they all get into little hijinks, and they go on adventures together, right? Well, they can talk now, and the plot is a very big deviation from what the other movies were. I think it still kind of fits the original movies, at least this first one. Now, the same cannot be said for the sequels, because after this first movie, they went on a spree. You know, they made snow buddies, space buddies, Santa buddies, spooky buddies, treasure buddies, and super buddies. It's a lot of fucking buddies. But as these movies progress and you watch them, it's very clear they started rapidly ditching the hey, let's follow this kid and bond with his dogs, and just goes, oh, fuck, what if we put these dogs in space, dude? Seriously, I can't express how weird and odd these movies get, so I'm just gonna rank them. Air Bud. S tier. That dog's cool as fuck. What else can I say? Air Bud Golden Receiver. I'd say B tier. Not as cool as basketball, but still pretty sick. Air Bud World Pup. Basically the same movie as the last one, but soccer, so I guess B tier, maybe C tier. I don't know. Air Bud 7th Inning Fetch. This one has a sick ass raccoon, but he's playing baseball. A tier. The raccoon's awesome. Air Bud Spikes Back. Volleyball. Really? C tier. Air Buddies. I'm gonna say B tier because B-Dog loves that bling. Oh, wow. Snow Buddies. This one's gonna go F tier, not to get serious for a second, but according to the r/Air Buddies Reddit page, the dogs were harmed in the making of this movie. Not cool. Really fucked up, actually. Space Buddies. It's so bad. It's so bad. D tier. Santa Buddies. Actually kind of fire. Actually kind of fire. You know, the magical dogs and shit? I'd say B tier. I like this one. Spooky Buddies. That shit was terrifying. A tier. Then we've got Treasure Buddies. It's just an Indiana Jones ripoff. I'd C tier. I'd say just C tier. And last but not least, we've got Super Buddies. Sky High did it better, man. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. D tier. So that was all of the Air Bud/Air Buddies movies. If I had to recommend any of them, I would say none of them. It's the same 5 jokes constantly. It's really bad. But that was my ranking. Now back to the other Prisk. I don't know. You can do whatever you want with that. I think this is where these movies start to fully nosedive into just taking these straight to DVD plots and just slapping a live action dog on it to try to get more sales. Even with movies like Underdog. I don't think this one is a perfect example because it was a cartoon in the 70s, but the movie itself is really weird and bad, and I'll never understand why they made it live action. I mean, Bolt came out a year later. They couldn't have just done that. I mean, this movie fucking sucks.
He was white. Actually, I think he was brown.
While I don't think Underdog is the perfect example, this entire video has been building to my ultimate example and the movie that I hate more than anything else, Beverly Hills Chihuahua. I need to stop hitting my desk. So Beverly Hills Chihuahua is a 3-part movie series following George Lopez and Drew Barrymore as a really rich white Chihuahua and a poor street dog from Mexico. Yeah, man, okay. I feel like I just have so many questions of why this movie was made that I don't really know where to begin. You know, I mean, like, why does it need to be live action? Why do the mouths move? Why did they cast Drew Barrymore? No 8-year-old kid watching this movie knows who that is, I promise you. And I would say the same thing about George Lopez, but he'll be in anything. But my ultimate question is, why does any of this happen? The story is about this really rich Beverly Hills Chihuahua getting lost in Mexico and has to hang out with the poor street dog, which is already a really odd plot, to be honest. But also, why are they even dogs? At a certain point, why are they dogs? I mean, Air Bud was crazy because it was a dog playing basketball. Even Shaggy Dog is like, whoa, this guy turned into a dog mystically. This movie is just, look, that dog is a Mexican accent. Isn't that funny?
Hi, mommy.
It really feels like they had a plot for a movie and went, this kind of sucks. Make them dogs. And it just does not work at all. Well, another big factor in it not working is also just the dialogue.
If you ever need someone to chew the hard-to-reach places, I would be most honored.
Excuse me? Is this dog trying to lay it down? Also, the trailer for the first movie constantly refers to him as a hunk of a dog.
Lovely.
Who is that hunk of Chihuahua?
What the fuck does that mean? Ew. I don't know why, but this movie is so weirdly horny.
Nice legs.
all of these movies are just George Lopez hitting on this girl with like weird dog innuendos, which honestly makes it worse. I would rather George Lopez just come out and go like, let's get it on, girl, than try to make these weird fucking dog innuendos. I also just think these movies have some of the worst dog mouth moving CGI out of all of them. It's either this one or Underdog.
There better be something pretty special in that dog dish when I get back.
Actually, yeah, no, Underdog still takes the cake, but it's really awkward. It looks really gross, and I don't know why they kept doing it, thinking that people liked the dog's mouth moving. If you're gonna have a story of these crazy talking dogs and animate their mouths, why not just make the whole movie animated? Why is it this weird, worst of both worlds, nasty looking CGI over the dogs? You show this to 100 people, they're gonna go, ew. Now, I think the talking dog genre of movies died off because the stories stopped making sense and stopped really being appealing to kids, but I also think a big part of it was just how awful the mouths are. I remember watching Underdog when I was like 6 or 7 years, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I was like, wow, this looks weird. Can I watch Johnny Test now, Mom? I feel like it's really easy to suspend your disbelief when you're watching a cartoon. You know, like Dookie talking makes total sense. He's a cartoon dog. But when a real dog that just looks like any other dog starts talking with a middle-aged man's voice who sounds really suicidal, by the way.
I just want to be a regular dog.
It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like looking at it. But back to Beverly Hills Chihuahua. After the first one did shockingly well in the box office, they made 2 more movies that performed worse than the last. They ended up losing a bunch of money, which pretty much ended the genre entirely. From 1997 to 2010, they released about 28 talking dog movies, and from 2010 to now, there's been like 4. I feel like the ultimate issue here is one that hits a lot of genres in Hollywood. It was just plagued with these bigwig executives that completely missed why people liked these movies so much. And that's not to say they're good. I think a lot of these are really ass, but I mean, think of the original ones. Even Cats and Dogs works in this scenario. Yeah, the dogs may be talking and might have some banter between each other, but the appeal is, whoa, wouldn't it be crazy if my dog could throw a 50-yard fucking missile? Or what if my dogs and cats fight like super spies while I'm away, right? And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, it started shifting towards, okay, what if the story is he turns into a dog and learns a life lesson? Which, you know, it still kind of fits, right? But it starts to lose that projectability of, it would be so cool if my dog could do that. And it starts to lean into, I hope my dad doesn't turn into a dog. And then George Lopez came in and said, what if the dogs were horny? And now I'm scared. Honestly, I don't really know what the point is here other than I really, really don't like Beverly Hills Chihuahua, and I kind of wanted to find a way to complain about it. Oh, also, I want them to stop doing that thing with their mouths. It's weird. Anyways, that's all the time I have. Thank you to the Patreon. You guys are great. You guys are awesome. But with all that being said, my name is Prisk. Reggie's back there. And if you need me, I'll be watching Dog with a Blog, the only good talking dog show ever made.
Man, I've had some pretty crazy haircuts over the years. Cornrows.